Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today. It is Monday, July 14th, and yes, victory. You see the headlines today on the Shannon Joy Show. Miracle in Salt Lake City as Attorney General Pam Bondi drops the case, the federal case against Dr. Kirk in the interest of justice. This was so surprising. You guys know it is not often that I cancel two shows at the end of the week here on the Shannon Joy Show and jump on a plane, fly to Salt Lake City to stand with a persecuted medical doctor regarding this case, but it just was so important. And I know we've been covering the case of Dr. Kirk Moore. He is the physician in Salt Lake City, Utah, that gave vaccine cards to citizens, his neighbors, who did not want to be injected with an experimental pharmaceutical product. And in that act, he upheld natural law. He upheld the Hippocratic Oath. He upheld the Nuremberg Codes and also the Constitution of the United States of America in direct action against an unjust mandate and unjust statutes that compelled American citizens to be vaccinated against their will through coercive measures. And we all saw this during the dark days of 2020 and 21 and 22. And the reality is that the injustice still continues here in the United States of America. We still haven't had a reckoning for COVID atrocities that happened in those dark days. We are still seeing medical doctors persecuted, like Dr. Kirk Moore, for standing up in those dark days. And tragically, we're seeing the Trump administration with Bobby Kennedy Jr. at the helm of HHS, in some cases, persecuting and continuing the persecution of the Biden administration in various ways. Well, that ended on Saturday, the day after the rally that we held. Huge thanks to the guys over at Died Suddenly, Matt Scow and Edward Zoll. They put together an amazing rally. They drew up local support and they broadcasted it. And we were able to push the boundaries to such an extent. As you guys know, I flew out there, I spoke at that rally, and I think we do have a clip of my speech. So we will play that in a little bit here in the Shannon Joy Show. I was able to be in the courtroom with Dr. Kirk Moore. I mean, the full weight of the federal government, millions of dollars spent on attorney's fees to fly out a team of attorneys to go in and essentially put this guy away for 35 years, a widowed father of two. He has a young son and a daughter, and it was absolutely outrageous. 3 years the federal government has persecuted Dr. Kirk Moore, almost $1 million in legal fees, $730,000, I think, that he spent. It has bankrupted him essentially. And but he stood up. He never gave up. He never backed down. He didn't take the plea deals. He didn't acknowledge or admit that he had done anything wrong, because he didn't. It was righteous what Dr. Moore did. And that was very clear as I was able to be on the ground in Salt Lake City reporting to all of you as I talked to the primaries and Dr. Moore and his son and Chris Anderson, another woman who is just absolutely lovely. She was also persecuted for aiding Dr. Moore in these courageous acts. Their families, listening to the details of the case. It's outrageous. It's outrageous what this government was trying to do. And through direct action, bottom-up resistance, local organization, and a movement, a collective, all of us working together in our own way, according to our unique talents and ability. Not just me, by the way. There have been people advocating for Dr. Kirk Moore since the very beginning, doing an enormous amount of labor to help him pay his attorney's fees and to keep this in the public eye. It all came to a head last week when Ed Zoll of Died Suddenly wrote just an unbelievable story. He wrote up the entire story of Dr. Kirk Moore, made it very clear and understandable. And then we all got to work and just pushed out to everyone we possibly could, talking to Dr. Naomi Wolf and Dr. Mary Talley Bowden and Sasha Latapova. Dr. Peter McCullough on his Substack pushed out news about this story. And it was just this massive coming together of the real medical freedom community, not MAHA. MAHA was nowhere to be found. They had nothing to say about this. Not MAGA. MAGA was nowhere to be found. They had nothing to say about this. No one in right-wing news media, very elevated, highly platformed right-wing news media covered this. This was the essence of the real medical freedom community, people who are doing this because it's right, because it is just, coming together. And we won. We won. It's unbelievable. It was a miracle. It was a miracle. Nobody knew that this was going to be the outcome. It's so unusual for a federal government to pursue a case to this extent and to double down on it, because we know we had petitioned Pam Bondi. We had petitioned Donald Trump for a pardon. They knew about this case and they were denied. We were denied those petitions just a few months ago. So it was only the continued effort as this came to a head with the court case that we were able to bring more attention to the case. But this is so unusual. It never happens. In fact, after the rally, and I'll show you the speech. I don't know if any of you had a chance to watch the rally. We ran it a little bit late. We had some slight tech difficulties here on the Shannon Joy Show. We did our best. So sorry. But I don't know if you were able to see the rally, but afterwards we were able to go into the courtroom and spend a couple hours hearing testimony. The star witness for the federal prosecutors, it was just really, really interesting to watch. But after it was all said and done, this is interesting. I'm going to get to your live chat in just a minute. You guys look great on the live chat. Great to see all of you. Guitar Lily, thank you for being with us today. Nostradamus with us as well. CJP Rumble, Rothen Walker, Mav 2022. So good to see all of you on the live chat. So as I was, and we'll get some of your comments in a minute, please throw them up there in all caps if you have them. After the rally, as you know, left Thursday morning to fly out to Salt Lake City for a rally at 9 a.m. the next morning, lost 2 hours of sleep, was up pretty late at night writing my speech. I don't usually write my speeches, but I really had something to say, and I wanted to make sure that I got it right. And so usually, you guys know, I'll get up, I'll wing it. I don't usually write a speech, but I just thought this was so important. On the plane, on the way out there, I read twice, and I recommend to all of you the letter from Birmingham jail from Martin Luther King Jr. in 1963 to a group of white pastors who were condemning him and criticizing him and telling him to step back and wait for the process to play out and wait for the politicians and justice to take its course and do not engage in activities that make people uncomfortable and might lead to violence or might break the law, God forbid. And this letter, handwritten by Dr. Martin Luther King from that jail, was his response to the establishment of the day, an establishment who both left and right were upholding the principles of segregation, even though slavery was abolished, the principles of the division of humans based on the color of their skin, so basically unjust, but it was an institution embedded into the fabric of this nation and embraced and endorsed by both political parties, all of the institutions, the courts, the jails, the legislative institutions, and even church institutions. They didn't get it. They didn't get that segregation was the scourge of the 20th century. It was an injustice. It was an abomination. But they wanted to wait. They wanted for things to play out when people were suffering, people were dying. And that was the essence of his letter. Today, forced vaccination, the injection of substances into human beings against their will with coercive measures, is the scourge, in my opinion, of the 21st century. And it is a 21st century human slavery that embodies every color, every race, men and women, the old, the young, the rich, and the poor. No one should be forced to accept a medical intervention or an injection without their informed consent and without the ability to say no. No manipulation, coercion, or force. This is happening today in the US and across the world.
This is Jennifer with darkbags.com. I wanted to show you our latest product. This is our laptop sleeve that has a over-the-shoulder carrying strap, as well as these two straps on the side, so you can kind of hold it like a briefcase. What's special about this is that there's actually a Faraday bag built in to this backpack that fits up to a 17-inch laptop. So here's my laptop. I'm going to put it in. Once you put your laptop into this sleeve, your company can no longer track you, because they do track you after you log off of work and you put your computer to the side. They're still tracking you wherever you go. Another thing that's awesome about the Faraday pouch that's in this bag is that it blocks excessive EMF radiation that's being emitted to you, so that those harmful pulses will not reach you. And also, in case there's an EMP, this protects your electronics from the EMP. So not only does it fit your laptop, you can put your phone, you can put your wallet in here as well, and it will be protected. There is cushioning on the sides, so it'll keep all of your electronic accessories safe in here. This will be available on darkbags.com.
Colonial Metals Group. Get your gold and silver strategy put together today. This is, again, nothing is changing. So what does that mean? It means that we are still in a situation here in the US with the economy. It's like a train barreling down the track, set on fire, 90 miles an hour, with a drunken conductor heading right off a cliff. Like, that's kind of where we are with this economy. And so, especially with the US dollar, our currency, they have taken this as far as they possibly can. Everyone understands this, and this is why gold is now tier 1 status. That's what Ed Dowd was talking about. Gold is money good, meaning you could buy a house with gold. We could see a situation, especially with Texas and Florida now adopting gold and silver as legal tender. That is the first step to their ability to establish a sovereign bank. You have saved your entire life. You're a retiree, and your money is wrapped up in a 401k, IRA, and it's the stock market or even federal government instruments. You have to consider physical gold and silver as a hedge. Doesn't mean you have to go in and go all in on it. It could be a portion, it could be a quarter, less than that, but everyone needs to be hedging right now with physical gold and silver, and also physical gold and silver backing up your retirement. As you guys know, Colonial Metals Group this company is amazing. I trust this company. I know all the primaries. We've been working with them for years, and they take amazing care of this audience. So you're going to want to go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. See if you qualify for $7,500 in free silver. This is an amazing company. They are not going to give you a pressure sell. They're not going to manipulate. They don't do fear selling in any capacity. They just give you all the information that you need and let you make the decision that is right for you and your family. So colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. I also love Native Path Complete Protein, also 41% off. Go to nativepathcompleteprotein.com/joy. Native Path Complete Protein/joy. 100% grass-fed beef protein, not whey, not soy, not plant-based, okay? They don't do that over at Native Path. Only the best for the Joy audience. This is to rebuild strength, maintain muscle support, a fast metabolism with absolutely no bloat whatsoever, because this is the cleanest product, the highest quality product, protein product you can get on the market. It is 110 calories, 20 grams packed with protein, and 0 sugar, dairy-free, no soy, no gluten. This is an amazing product. 41% off. Next week, we're going to feature some of the Joy family recipes. We use complete protein every day at my house. The kids love the chocolate flavor. Go to nativepathcompleteprotein.com/joy. That's nativepathcompleteprotein.com/joy to get your exclusive 41% off discount. This is just for the Joy audience, but it is going to end soon. So make sure you go to that website today. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Slight technical difficulty right there. I dropped my internet connection. I'm hooked up to my cell phone using a hotspot because I'm not sure why I'm not getting internet connection from my studio today. But thank you to Annie for thinking super quickly and getting us right back up and running a few of our commercials a little bit early in the show, but that's okay. Hey, we are broadcasting live from Rumble, Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, every podcast platform you can ever imagine. This is the Shannon Joy Network, and we could not do it with all of you. So today we are going to talk about this case, Dr. Kirk Moore, a huge victory for the medical freedom community. Everyone asks me, Shannon, when are you going to claim a victory, right? We see all kinds of narratives and rhetoric and false wins coming out of HHS and Washington, D.C. Rarely do we see a real win, something that actually indicates that we have pushed back collectively, and we have pushed to such an extent through bottom-up organization that we have forced the hand of the federal government. And yes, Pam Bondi is doing this for political reasons. It's very clear. She's dropping this case because she's had a rough week last week with the dropping of the Epstein case and the closing of the books on the Epstein files. She has been facing extraordinary scrutiny and criticism throughout the week. And so, of course, we assume that this is one of those moments where she could use a win. Well, we can use that, politically speaking. We can use that as leverage to push these politicians to do the right things. And we did. We pushed Tom Massey, who eventually spoke up. We pushed Marjorie Taylor Greene, who eventually spoke up. They pushed Mike Lee out of Utah, who eventually spoke up. It was that pressure. It is not playing nice, right? The politicians are constantly being lobbied by big pharma, big tech, the oligarchs, and the billionaires. There's an enormous amount of pressure for them to submit to these agenda items, tyrannical agenda items, and the status quo. It is only with direct action, when we organize collectively and push back, that we are able to push back against that and drag them into our corner, even if it is kicking and screaming. We now know that Pam Bondi actually really isn't even the villain here on the Epstein case. Donald Trump, with an absolutely astounding, rambling explanation as to why he's doubling, tripling, and quadrupling down on dropping the Epstein case, which is outrageous. MAGA is revolting against this. It's good. We need to continue pushing back, because the narratives that, they have engaged in hyping this case up and pushing it out there, acting as if they were fighting for justice for the children. And now, with the most epic rug pull on a campaign promise I have ever seen, they are basically saying that pedophilia in America and child sex trafficking rings in America are essentially too big to fail. There are too many big, important people who are engaged in this, so we just have to let it go. And that is the essence of the argument of Donald Trump and this administration. And we'll obviously be covering this as well. But clearly this was political, but we can use that. And we achieved for justice. It was great. I want to go to some of you in the live chat. Huge thank you, by the way, to our sponsors. You're going to hear from Colonial Metals Group today. Also, our friends over at Native Path Complete Protein, the best protein on the market, 100% grass-fed beef protein. Our family absolutely loves it. And you're going to be hearing from them, of course, the satellite phone store, sat123.com/joy. Joy for 10% off. It's a promo code that works all the time. And of course, my friend Don Polano of PCM and Associates. So you're going to hear from them today. I want to hit the live chat just a bit. Thank you, Annie Cyrus, for producing the Shannon Joy Show today. Yes, we had a shumble and we froze, right? But that was because I was having a little bit of, for whatever reason, my internet kicked me off. I was able to link up through the hotspot. It's probably not going to be the best connection. So if we freeze up again and we go to commercial breaks, just bear with us today as I figure out the connection for tomorrow. So we have Nostradamus on the live chat. If you guys have a comment or a question about what went down in Salt Lake City, please post it up here on the live chat, and I will answer your questions here. CJP Rumble is with us. Rothen Walker is also with us. Green Tea 369. Yes, we heard about Ghislaine Maxwell saying that she wants to testify before Congress. And yes, I'm sure, I mean, this saga is going to continue. Jerry Alato is with us on the live chat with a question. What is the number one most important difference between the positive Dr. Kirk Moore case outcome and the negative Jeffrey Epstein case outcome? The answer is Epstein is dead. Now, the thing is, you can have a victory. The Dr. Kirk Moore victory, it was indeed a victory, and it was the right thing. It was the right thing to do. I think that Dr. Moore engaged in a just and ethical way. He upheld a higher moral law. He held up a higher natural law, and protected his patients. He honored their choices. And this is why the statement from Attorney General Pam Bondi, this was her tweet that she pushed out: at my direction, the Justice Department has dismissed charges against Dr. Kirk Moore. Dr. Kirk gave his patients a choice, informed consent, when the federal government refused to do so. He did not deserve the years in prison he was facing. It ends today. And so that ended everything. The elation. Can you imagine facing 35 years, being a single dad, 2 kids, a son, 17, still in high school, and having for 3 years the looming threat of multiple years in prison, up to 35 years? The amount of weight that was lifted from his shoulders when he was informed of the decision by the Department of Justice. We weren't expecting this, to be honest. In fact, as I mentioned, as I was flying back on the red eye, driving in Saturday morning, so flew out on Thursday, did the rally at 9 a.m. on Friday morning, was in the courtroom Friday afternoon, and then ended up flying out on the red eye Friday evening. My plane left. It was supposed to leave at 12:52 p.m., but we ended up leaving closer to 1 a.m. in the morning on Saturday. So I am driving back. We land in Rochester, New York, or I land in Rochester, New York on Saturday, and I'm driving back. It's like 8 in the morning, and I'm just exhausted, delirious, hardly slept a wink at all. And I was just thinking, we didn't know what the outcome was. I was preparing for this week to continue the coverage of what was happening in the courtroom, and we were coming up with all kinds of strategies to try to continue to push this out. And of course, I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, was it really worth it? Like 2 shows off, 2 live shows, flying out. I'm exhausted. I haven't seen my family, and you're just turning that around in your mind. You always have a choice, regarding what stories you're really going to cover and you're going to sink your teeth into. And I thought this one was really important, but it's just gnawing at the back of your head. And I'm like, oh man, and then I get this text, I hear my phone bling, and I get this text from Dr. Moore: case dismissed, to all caps. It's done. It's finished. And I was like, no way. I mean, he collapsed to the floor the way he tells it. And it was just, I couldn't believe it. And it made it all worth it. I mean, to know that his young son, Michael, is going to have his dad, to know that a precedent has been set here, right? A precedent has been set. Like, this now is going to propel COVID era atrocities into the fore. We still have cases going that we now know we can impact. If we work together outside of the system with direct action to continue to push politicians and judges, right, and use our connections and media and platforming, we can help Rainer Fulmick, who is in prison right now, one of the early heroes of COVID-19 resistance, the Brooke Jackson case in against Pfizer, right? Identifying and accusing them of the fraud that they provided for the federal government, the military fraud. That case is still being suppressed by Pam Bondi and the Justice Department. Mary Talley Bowden is still facing horrifying repercussions from the Texas Medical Board. There's still doctors being persecuted. There are actions still being taken against Dr. Peter McCullough. There is a case in the Netherlands where an attorney, Arno van Kessel, has been arrested, detained, and held without any lawyers representing him, any connection to his family, very similar to what happened to the J6 attorneys. This lawyer was taking Bill Gates, Albert Bourla, and Dutch officials to court over COVID and the jab. He was arrested, taken to a maximum security prison to stop him from attending the court case. Okay. His co-counsel, Peter Stasner, just the other day arguing on his behalf, but they are accusing Bill Gates, the chief editors of Dutch newspapers and Dutch broadcasters, Albert Bourla, and a range of high-ranking Dutch officials and politicians who were responsible for the handling of the corona crisis. Stassen, his co-attorney, was supposed to present the case together with Arno van Kessel, but he was arrested on the 11th of June, the day after submitting documents that have to do with the initial proceedings. Listen to this. Van Kessel was arrested, taken away blindfolded by a team of semi-military police, and is being kept in the Netherlands' highest secured prison, far away from his family, for at least another 3 months. The actual charge is unknown. And it's likely, they believe, because the state prosecution is still trying to find something to charge him with. This was meant to intimidate his co-counsel, Stassen. His lawyer did not back down. He actually did the opposite. This is from reporting from Jim Ferguson, who is a wonderful, wonderful, Jim Ferguson, and a group from the Netherlands. But this is so interesting. During the trial, hear this. Stassen had requested the court hear witness statements from financial expert Catherine Austin Fitz, medical expert Michael Yeadon, and of course, our good friend Sasha Latapova and Alexandra Latapova, a professional in healthcare business and entrepreneurship. So they were set to testify. This is another case that we're going to be watching. And I know that the guys over at Died Suddenly, we are so pumped. We're like, you know what? This proves we can do it. It proves that we can take on the federal apparatus. We can take on the pharmaceutical corporations. We can take on both political parties and affect change, even as our movements like MAHA and MAGA have come in and twisted the messaging. It's not working. And that is an absolute victory, Mark the Regan, bit by bit, piece by piece. Mark the Regan, the entire vaccine narrative is crumbling before our eyes. I agree with you 100%. Rothen Walker, there is no precedent set. Avoiding the case makes it so there is no precedent. That's why the case going through and him being found not guilty would have been better. Yes, that would have set, I agree with you, Rothen Walker, that would have set a legal precedent. However, the judge was really hamstringing the defense and paving the way for the prosecution to achieve a slam dunk. They wouldn't even let the defense talk about why Dr. Kirk Moore gave those cards, the vaccine cards, to his patients, thousands of patients, without actually vaccinating them. They wouldn't even let them talk about the fact that there was no informed consent, that the vaccines were experimental by definition under the EUA. So it was impossible to give informed consent. They were not allowed to even present the facts that one of the batches that Dr. Moore kept and refused to inject into his patients was actually a hot lot. It was a bad batch that they know now is responsible for dozens, if not more, deaths as a result of those batches. The individuals who would have received those shots, if they were forced to do so, could have been seriously harmed and seriously injured. Dr. Moore saved lives. All of those facts were going to be prohibited from bringing them to the jury by the judge and the prosecution. So Walker, it was not looking good. This was kind of why we were really bummed out that we didn't get the withdrawal from the case on Friday. Looking forward to this case. It looked as if it was going to be stacked against him. So there is a precedent, though. I want to challenge you, Walker, on saying there is no precedent. There is a precedent. And the precedent set here is that we, the people, outside of MAHA and MAGA and conservative media and Con Inc. and TPUSA and the Republican Party and the Democrat Party and the federal court system and state court systems, all of the power structures set up against us, the coercive manipulation of our institutions, big media, big pharma, big tech, all of them lined up against truth and justice. In this one case, Walker, the precedent was set. We achieved truth and we achieved true justice. Dr. Kirk Moore should never have been put in that position. His patients should never have been put in that position. It was illegal, immoral, a violation of natural law, a violation of our Constitution, a violation of the Hippocratic Oath and the Nuremberg Doctrine. So Dr. Kirk Moore acted ethically, honorably, heroically, and what happened with the withdrawal of this case was just. It was true justice, and we achieved it. You and me, people that don't have a lot of power, just from coming out and speaking up and doing our own part. That's the precedent, Walker. We don't have to wait for a law. We don't have to wait for a committee or a hearing or a blue ribbon panel. We don't have to wait for Donald Trump to save us or some new anointed freedom fighter to come into Congress to, quote, save us and buck the system, only to submit to the system within a couple years, starting us all over again. We don't have to wait. And that was one of the statements this is why the letter from Birmingham jail is so important. I want to read this about waiting, and then we'll go to a commercial break. I challenge you, Walker. I severely disagree with you and anyone else on the live chat today who wants to take away this victory. It is a victory. Take it, right? Take it, accept it, acknowledge it, learn from it, and then duplicate it so that we can have more victories. Victories for Mary Talley Bowden, for Brooke Jackson, for these attorneys in the Netherlands, for Raymer Fulmek. Let's go find where the injustice is and meet it head on. I'm so pumped. I am so pumped. This is everything that we've been talking about for 12 years. And we've seen how when we come together, I was thinking about Alexis Lorenz. Remember Lexi Lorenz? She almost died in a hospital after the most severe vaccine injury I have ever seen. It was Steve Kirsch who stood up and supported her, and a coming together of all of our platforms. We saved her. He saved her, right? When you think about Joshua Shoemaker, just a few weeks ago, medically kidnapped in the Golisano Children's Hospital, right? The parental rights taken away by CPS as they seized him and tried to force him to undergo medical interventions against his will. We got the CPS to drop that case through organization, raising of funds, sharing these things. We can do this. We can do this. And don't let anyone take that away from you. This is what Dr. Martin Luther King had to say about waiting. He said, "We know through painful experience." This is the letter from Birmingham Jail, 1963, written by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., when they told him to stand down and wait for the establishment apparatus to achieve the justice that they had been denied for so many years. He wrote this: "We know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Frankly," he writes, "I've never engaged in a direct action movement that was well-timed according to the timetable of those who have not suffered unduly from the disease of segregation. For years now, I have heard the word wait. It rings in the ear of every Negro with a piercing familiarity. This wait has almost always meant never. It has been a tranquilizing thalidomide, relieving the emotional stress for a moment, only to give birth to an ill-formed infant of frustration. We must come to see, with the distinguished jurist of yesterday, that justice too long delayed is justice denied. We have waited for more than 340 years for our God-given and constitutional rights, and it is time to stand. It is the exact same with the plight of the COVID vaccine injured, the moms and the dads and the grandparents whose loved ones have died because of immediate adverse reaction to the COVID-19 bioweapons. Those who have had loved ones murdered on COVID floors, a democide by our own government. There has been no justice for them. And it is very, very similar, I believe, to what we saw during the times of segregation. We need to end it. We cannot give up. We cannot give up. Buskman, I checked over the weekend, Shannon. My local Kroger pharmacy did not list the COVID-19 shot as an available vaccine. Small wins, Buskman. I love, love, love to hear that. Let's see what else you guys have to say. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? If the DOJ persecution or prosecution, nautical, if the DOJ persuade the prosecution of Kirk Moore would have made him the medical freedom truth movement protests future exposing COVID vaccines, fraud, sickness, and death. Rothen Walker, the feel good, it's not feel good. We did it. It's not a precedent. It doesn't just feel good, Rothen Walker. It achieved justice. We achieved truth and justice. That is not a feel good moment. That is an absolute win. So I absolutely disagree with you. LT Oracle of Truth, is it still recommended on the CDC website? I heard that it was. Yes, I believe it is still recommended on the CDC website. Let's see how the other folks on the live chat are doing. Hey, CM 1968, great to see you. DT, Don't Obey 3, it's great to see you. J6, Bill Benz, you guys look great. Why don't we go to a quick commercial break? Want to give a huge shout out to, we're going to be keeping an eye on this Netherlands case. Also, Roger Ver. There are many others. There are injustices still happening. And I think that we have the opportunity to achieve truth in our lifetime and justice. And I'm super excited about that. It's why I come and do the show every single day with all of you. Want to talk about gold. Right now, gold is making some side movements based on the hype of Bitcoin. Peter Schiff has some interesting things to say about that hype. Again, he still thinks it's a Ponzi scheme, pyramid scheme. I agree 100%. But here's the great news about gold and silver. The long-term prospect of gold and silver is looking very, very good. And this is because people realize that nothing is really changing, okay? The economic situation, the financial situation in the U.S. is the exact same, if not worse, than during the Biden era. If you couple the tariff taxes along with the big betrayal bill, which enacted boondoggle spending, the likes of which we have never seen. So it is more of the same from this administration. Todd Sawyer from Colonial Metals Group has a great piece. I don't know if you know this, but Costco and Walmart are now selling gold bars. It's very interesting. They have a limit on how many you can purchase, but why is this happening? Why are Americans' biggest retailers selling gold bars to consumers? As the Wall Street Journal recently reported, this is the title: When Markets Get Scary, Mom and Pop Buy Gold. This is written by Todd Sawyer. David Wagner III, head of markets and equities at Aptus Capital Advisors, agrees and says, if someone's going out to buy gold, that means they think that there is some type of instability at the structural level of the market and or government itself. In other words, the two retail giants' decision to offer gold isn't just a novel business strategy. It is a calculated move driven by the collective foresight of a country bracing for further economic tumult. And this is because our fiscal troubles are not over and they have become absolutely impossible to ignore. We see the national debt soaring. We see the purchasing power of the US dollar continuing to decline. We see inflation reflected in the prices of essential goods and services. And now a growing number of Americans are looking to a stable store of value to help protect their wealth. Gold and silver, whether it is physical gold and silver in your deposit box or in a safe, or backing up your IRA with physical gold and silver, which is what I do through Colonial Metals Group. The folks at Colonial Metals Group can help you make the right decision about protecting your retirement, your savings, and also preparing for the future. They do not use coercive selling. They don't use hard selling. They don't use fear mongering. They work with you, they meet you where you are, answer all of your questions, give you very good information, and help you make that decision for yourself. It's also super easy. They are super friendly. They love this audience. They've taken such good care of so many Shannon Joy Show viewers, and they can help you today. Do not wait. Right now, as gold is taking a little bit of a breather, this is a moment when you can begin to get in at a really great price. So please go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. Right now, do not wait. We know what is on the horizon. We know that our political leaders aren't changing. And now it is time for you to do that bottom up, right? Emancipating action, direct action for your family and your future. There's so much we can do. colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, and make sure you go to my site because they are offering 7,500 of free silver to qualified listeners and viewers. So colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. We'll be back in a moment to continue the discussion here on the Shannon Joy Show. The Sat 123, the satellite phone store, and the amazing team over at this amazing website. It is everything that you need for preparation, everything that you need when the power goes out, when the storm comes, whether it's a generator to keep the power on, solar panels, a satellite phone. If we lose power and the towers go down and 5G, 4G, 3G, it's not working. These satellite phones are absolutely critical in getting in touch with loved ones, and they can actually be a blessing to an entire community. There's so many stories that Tina, the owner and founder of Satellite Phone Store, tells about communities that have one satellite phone that was used to help hundreds of families redirect traffic, direct people to a safe a place or a place to escape a fire or a natural disaster. I mean, the stories are absolutely amazing. And not only can you protect your own family, but you can also be a blessing to your community when you are prepared. Please go to sat123.com/joy. That is sat123.com/joy. That is my page. And the folks at Satellite Phone Store always have amazing deals for the Shannon Joy audience. 10% off with that promo code JOY. That's 10% off your entire purchase with the promo code JOY. Everything that you need when the lights go out. The Faraday collection, the satellite phones, the generators, you name it, they have it. And we're so thankful for everything that they do for this show. So sat123.com/joy. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. This is a statement from Dr. Kirk Moore. By the way, I'm going to be joining Dr. Kirk Moore tomorrow on the Dr. Drew Show. So we're going to do an exclusive interview with Dr. Drew. We're also welcoming Dr. Kirk Moore tomorrow live here on the Shannon Joy Show. Dr. Peter McCullough is weighing in on a whole host of issues on Wednesday this week on the Shannon Joy Show. So we have a jam-packed week of shows. I'm going to be doing some other media engagements. I think we are talking to the folks over at Redacted, which is a great platform. And so that's going to be next week. Another bit of housekeeping, by the way, as you guys know, we're taking the Joy family summer vacation. And when we vacation, we go play beach volleyball. So we are heading down to Virginia Beach for the USAV Beach National Tournament. We're going to be down there. We're heading out this week on Thursday. So we will be out Thursday, Friday. We'll put together best of shows for you. And I'm working on some guest hosts, but I might not be able to swing it. So we're going to see what we can do for the Thursday, Friday show. Also, Monday and Tuesday will be off. So this is our summer vacation. And we're going to have some great programming for you on the Shannon and Joy show, featuring guests and also best of shows. So that is just a bit of housekeeping so that you guys don't worry about me and where I am. LT Oracle of Truth, cool. Shannon, Redacted will up your following. Yeah, they're great. I've really liked the work that they've done over Redacted. I've used them for many, many years, and they do really great work. So do you guys want to see my speech? I'm going to put it up for the live chat. As you know, I spent some time on the speech. I'm not sure how long is it. Annie, how long was the speech? You pulled that out from the about 7 minutes. Okay, so it's not too long. I'm going to let you guys make the decision if you want me to run the speech. And really what I wanted to do with that speech was really establish the higher natural law, the higher law that we are compelled to obey. It's the law that if more and more Americans honored and protected and obeyed, we'd have more people standing up. We'd have more people resisting. And very often people don't, because they're afraid. They're afraid of the consequences. They're afraid of losing their jobs or their friendships or their lives, their fortune, their sacred honor. These are all the things that we have to lose as American citizens when we stand up for freedom. But when you see other people doing it and you see a victory, that's another unintended consequence, a precedent, so to speak, to answer Rothan Walker, who wants to be a Debbie Downer today on the live chat. When other people see someone stand up, do the right thing, become persecuted for that, and then emerge victoriously, it gives people courage to do the same thing. And people realize, okay, we can do the right thing. And it's not that scary to do the right thing. And yes, we might lose money and we might have challenges, but we're going to do those right things because in the long run, that is how we achieve liberty. Enough people pursuing it and pursuing truth and pursuing justice from the bottom up, from your own corner of the world, according to your own unique talents and ability. Okay, so it looks like, okay, you guys want to see it? Okay, so we'll run it. Guitar Lily says, run it in all caps. And so, yes, why don't we take a look? Honor seeker. You don't get a vacation, Shannon. What will I do without you? Oh man, you're so funny. I know, you got to take a break. And listen, last week I was not planning on taking those Thursday and Friday shows off and heading to Salt Lake City. So it makes it for 2 short weeks in a row, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll make sure you have some great content, and we'll see if we can get some guest hosts. So we're going to work on it. All right. So Annie, why don't we go ahead? This is from Salt Lake City. Let's play the speech, and then we come back. We'll continue to look at this letter from Birmingham prison. And also, I don't know if you guys want to talk about Donald Trump and the embrace of the Epstein pedophile ring. He is doubling, quadrupling down, doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on essentially protecting the entire network. And MAGA is outraged, and rightfully so. So I have his insane, rambling Truth Social post here where he just basically aligns. And we can also talk about how like Alex Jones and some of the Bizarro con media people are trying to twist this. It's unbelievable how they are trying to twist themselves into pretzels to defend President Donald Trump on this. It's really astounding to watch. But let's go to, let's run the speech, died suddenly. at the Died Suddenly press conference in Salt Lake City, Utah. We'll go to a quick break, and then we will come back and get into some other news of the day. Here we go. Hey everyone, I am so honored and blessed to be here all the way from New York State. As you know, I have a daily live show, and it's not often that I will cancel my live broadcast, catch a plane, and fly across the country on a moment's notice to cover a story or a case. And it's not often that I write my statements. I usually freelance, but this is such an important moment. This is such an important case. And Dr. Moore is such an important character in the history of the United States of America. The story of Dr. Kirk Moore is unique. It's compelling and it's urgent. In this story, the outcome of this federal case will impact every single American and their families and their God-given natural right to practice self-determination and assume bodily autonomy regarding their personal medical decisions and their decisions in their own vocation. After the lockdown tyranny of 2020 and 2021, Americans faced some of the most draconian and coerced medical mandates ever imposed in human history. COVID vaccine mandates forced so many to choose between an experimental injection they fundamentally opposed and their jobs, education, civil engagement, and even life-saving surgeries. In Salt Lake City, these people came to Dr. Moore desperate to avoid an unwanted injection. And with their full consent, he provided them with cards which allowed them to continue to engage in civil society. He charged no fee and provided this service in an underground railroad, so to speak, to thousands of his neighbors. He made the decision to take direct action in opposition to immoral, tyrannical, and unjust mandates. In my opinion, Dr. Moore committed some of the most courageous acts of civil disobedience of any medical freedom advocate during the COVID era, and perhaps in this nation's history. He saved lives. He refused to obey unjust laws. And as Martin Luther King Jr. wrote in his letter from Birmingham jail in 1963, I would agree with St. Augustine that an unjust law is no law at all. Amen. Dr. Moore also upheld the higher laws of nature and nature's God, which protect dignity, liberty, and basic humanity. Those found in the Nuremberg Code, which prohibits experimentation on humans without their explicit informed consent. Those found in the Hippocratic Oath, which compels physicians to first do no harm and to honor the preferences of their patients regarding treatment, including the right to refuse treatment. He upheld those higher laws found in the Judeo-Christian ethic, which cherishes every human soul and applies dignity and respect, understanding that every being is formed in the image of God himself and is endowed by him with natural rights like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I would add the very basic and obvious right to bodily autonomy, the right to say no to any medical intervention for any reason, including vaccination. It is an abomination that in today's modern society, our government and institutions can lawfully compel citizens to be injected against their will through manipulation, threats, coercion, and force. Forced or coerced vaccination is an act of violence by our government against our citizens. And the suppression of the free spirit of any person who resists yet submits. Medical mandates and coerced vaccination are the scourge of modern civilization, and they must end. It is a violation of not only our Constitution, but of the natural laws which have guided humanity for thousands of years. Coerced and forced vaccination is the medical rape of the body, and it has to stop. Dr. Moore may have violated a code or a rule, but he has upheld a much higher law. And for that courageous stance, he is now being persecuted by both the Biden administration and the Trump administration through Pam Bondi and the DOJ, and this must stop. Pam Bondi, withdraw this case. Donald Trump, we want to hear from you. This tyranny represents a ruling class oblivious to human suffering and dedicated to maintaining their power and wealth and control. They seek to make Dr. Moore an example. His persecution is meant to send a message to all of us. Don't you dare stand up or resist, or you will be crushed. The actions against Dr. Moore is meant to intimidate, to suppress future dissent, to punish the courageous, and to discourage those who bear witness to it. This is why we must stand up for Dr. Moore today and fight for his freedom and his vindication. Fight for justice. Pam Bondi, withdraw this case. All right, there we go. And I see you all in the live chat. You guys are hilarious. Shannon, so I guess in that clip, people are saying that I look like Sarah Connor from the Terminator. I don't know. Annie, do you see that? That's so hilarious. Annie thinks I look like myself. But yes, the backstory on that. Okay, just have to tell you, I was on like 3 hours of sleep. Okay, I was hoping for a podium so that I didn't have to like hold my speech in my hand, and it was so dry in the Salt Lake City desert, because it's a desert climate, that my mouth went dry literally the moment I started speaking. And so the cotton mouth, I'm going to have to at some point, like literally step away from this microphone and go find a drink of water. But we pulled it off. And, you know, that it was important to me to establish one of the reasons that we couldn't get a lot of traction for Dr. Moore was because everyone I was talking to was saying, well, he broke the law. Well, he broke the statute. Well, he told a lie. And there was a really great statement from Ed Zoll over at Died Suddenly that I absolutely agree with. We are not compelled to tell the truth to murderers, okay? And so there are very few moments in time when I would say obscuring the truth or violating a law or not fully telling the truth would be morally right and the morally right thing to do. And so I think that he did that, but it was, a big struggle. It wasn't until Ed Zoll wrote up the piece and Died Suddenly in such a compelling way that people understood that, okay, there's more to this story. This isn't some guy who made $1 million selling fake vaccine cards, right? This is a guy who made no money, who basically has lost everything, had to spend almost $1 million in his defense, did not back down because he knew it was the right thing to do. He was largely abandoned by many of the people that he helped. He has almost lost his practice. I mean, this has cost him so much, his reputation, his livelihood, his fortune. And so, I mean, this is just an absolutely unique case. And so I thought it was really important in this speech. That's why I wrote it, because I didn't want to just get up there and wing it and go freestyle. I really wanted to make that case that this was moral. This was just. He was a hero and he did save lives. And I thought that was very, very important to establish. So the other speakers were amazing. I want to really thank Died Suddenly producers. Again, this would not have happened without them. Also, Dr. Mary Shelley Bowden helped to push this out. Dr. Naomi Wolf helped push it out. Robert Scott Bell. I don't know if you guys listen or watch Robert Scott Bell, but he lives in Salt Lake City, Utah, or in the area. And he was absolutely lovely. So glad to meet him and his beautiful daughter. Jason Preston, another great presenter. He emceed the event, did a great job. We Are the People Utah was the organization around that. And just a lot of really great people came together. There is a link. I posted it on the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show Died Suddenly, where they went through everyone who spoke up or helped platform this. People like Dr. Peter McCullough on this list. Steve Kirsch, I was great to see him on the list as well. Samantha and Alexis Lorenz paid it back. Isn't that amazing? You guys remember Alexi Lorenz? It was a national outcry that helped save her life. Steve Kirsch really spearheaded that. They helped out with this. Charlene and Ty Bollinger, they're fantastic. Zero Hedge, Gateway Pundit, pushed this out. And so we're thankful for all of that. Again, Michael Yan, thank you to Michael Yan. And then also the politicians. This is from the press release. And just so you have like the nuts and bolts of this, long overdue act of justice. All federal charges have been officially dismissed against Dr. Michael Kirk Moore, who was wrongfully prosecuted for upholding medical ethics and defending the foundational right to informed consent during the COVID-19 vaccine mandates. The ruling was in the interest of justice. Pam Bondi dropped the case. From the start, this case was never about fraud. It was about freedom of choice, moral courage, and the refusal to betray doctor-patient relationships under political pressure. Dr. Moore stood by his oath, and today, truth prevailed. So Attorney General Pam Bondi, give her credit. She dropped the charges. Marjorie Taylor Greene was the first elected official to stand up and speak out about this, followed by Thomas Massey, who also spoke up, pushed this out. Then Senator Mike Lee from the state of Utah stood up and spoke out about the injustice here. And they thank the courtroom patriots who filled the benches each day. And there were so many beautiful, amazing people, moms, dads, grandpas, grandparents, media people, independents that we met. And it was absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. This is a big one. This is a big deal, guys. A big, big deal. We did it. We want to do it again. Like once you achieve something like that, it's like, okay, where's the next injustice? Let's go. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. I'll get on a plane. Like, let's do this. Let's use our voices outside of all of the politics and pursue the truth and real justice. And that's what we hope to do here on the Shannon Joy Show by platforming a lot of these cases. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to slow it down a little bit here on the Shannon Joy Show. We'll take some of your comments, some of your questions. Nautical, thank you so much for your donation. I so appreciate you. $100. As you guys know, I'm independent. Nautical, that is so sweet. This network is independent. Everything we do here is through independent donations, contributions, angel investments from you guys through the live chat here. We don't usually get contributions here on the live chat, but they're always appreciated. Also, theshannonjoy.com is my website, theshannonjoy.com, and you can set up anything that makes sense to you, whether it's $5 a month or $10 a month. That security gives us the ability to cover a lot of our overhead. So for those of you who are angel investors and support this show, we can do these things because we are independent. I don't have any backroom billionaires trying to influence me. I don't have any networks or executives or, big PR firms or politicians. I don't have to carry water for either political party. So we can say whatever we want here on the Shannon Joy Show, and we just cling to truth. That's what we try to do here. So thank you so much, Nautical. I really, really appreciate you. Medical freedom fighter for sure. I would take that title any day of the week. So let's go to break. When we come back, I did promise you last week that I was going to give you my Chunky Monkey recipe with complete protein from Native Path. It is our family's favorite. We put it in the bullet. It is so good for you. And with the Native Path complete protein. It's absolutely delicious. Well, I didn't get to give you my recipe because I hopped on a plane on Thursday and we didn't do a show. So when we come back, we will slow it down. We'll ease out of this Monday show. Big shows coming up this week. We have Dr. Kirk Moore right here live on the Shannon Joy Show tomorrow, among other news items that we'll be featuring. Dr. Peter McCullough live in the Joy Virtual Studio on Wednesday. Also, I will be joining Dr. Kirk Moore on Dr. Drew Pinsky's show, Dr. Drew. This week, we're going to cut that tomorrow. And I think next week, we're going to work for Redacted. Really great platform. Huge news, amazing victory. And we're going to be having these conversations because what do we want to do? We want to learn from this win and we want to duplicate it. We want to do this over and over and over. That's how you create that groundswell. That's how you push these politicians, right? It's not the PR firms and the lobby groups and, the politicians, the consultants and the pundits, right? They just talk to each other in echo chambers. We're getting things done from the ground up. Okay, we're going to go to break. When we come back, Chunky Monkey recipe, and we're going to hit that live chat. I want to hear from all of you. Comments, questions, ideas. Is there an injustice somewhere in the country? What are other cases that you guys are hearing about that you want to know about that we can begin to pursue? How can we get this Epstein case? How can we get to the truth regarding Jeffrey Epstein, the sex trafficking ring, Ghislaine Maxwell, and the billionaire oligarchs and global leaders who were engaging in criminal sexual acts with children? How do we get justice there? I would love to see your ideas. I want to hear from you what you think could work. But this is the work that we have to do now here in the country so that we can save our country and hopefully secure another 50, 100 years of liberty in the United States of America. We'll be back in a moment to continue the discussion. I also love Native Path Complete Protein, also 41% off. Go to nativepathcompleteprotein.com/joy. Native Path Complete Protein /joy, 100% grass-fed beef protein, not whey, not soy, not plant-based, okay? They don't do that over at Native Path. Only the best for the Joy audience. This is to rebuild strength, maintain muscle support, a fast metabolism with absolutely no bloat whatsoever, because this is the cleanest product, the highest quality product, protein product you can get on the market. It is 110 calories, 20 grams packed with protein, and 0 sugar, dairy-free, no soy, no gluten. This is an amazing product. 41% off. Next week, we're going to feature some of the Joy family recipes. We use complete protein every day at my house. The kids love the chocolate flavor. Go to nativepathcompleteprotein.com/joy. That's nativepathcompleteprotein.com/joy to get your exclusive 41% off discount. This is just for the Joy audience, but it is going to end soon. So make sure you go to that website today. All right, as you know, the Joy children are all beach volleyball players. They're always trying to get more protein into their diet. It rebuilds strength. It helps them repair their muscles. It supports the fast metabolism, and they never have any bloat with the Native Path. So one of our favorites on game days or in the morning, one of our favorites at the Joy household is the Chunky Monkey. And this is the way that you make it. I promised you I would give you my recipe. And if you have like picky eaters who don't always make the best choices and don't love their vegetables and, don't eat healthy, this is a great way to get, just so many nutrients packed in. So we do a scoop of, so I use the Bullet. I don't know if you guys have the Bullet blender, but we use the Bullet blender. I put a scoop of peanut butter, so natural peanut butter, then a bunch of ice. Then we pour over that enough milk to kind of cover all of the peanut butter, all of the ice. Then we put a banana, a full banana in, super ripe if you have one, and a scoop of the Native Path Complete Chocolate Protein. That's the kicker. That's where you just like ramp this thing up. And so you put it in the blender, you mix it up, and it is so delicious. It is packed. There's nothing bad in this. It is the banana. It is the natural peanut butter. It's the protein, ice, and just a little bit of skim milk. And it's just, it's so so good. They love it. And I never, ever, no ice cream whatsoever. It tastes like ice cream though. It is, you guys are going to die. And honestly, the chocolate protein from Native Path is so good. It is so good that my kids will mix it into their milk. They'll make chocolate milk with it because it just tastes so great. It dissolves perfectly. Again, 41% off. You guys know Native Path always comes to the table with like the best discount deal. This is when everyone in the Joy audience stocks up. So 41% off. Annie, if you could pop that URL right into the live chat, I would so appreciate it. nativepathcompleteprotein.com/joy. nativepathcompleteprotein.com/joy. This is limited time, 41% off. Yes, it's as good as Ben and Jerry, but not all the bad calories, right? Ranger 1791. Do not forget a large heaping tablespoon of MAGA tears. MAGA is raging right now. Everyone is angry. Why don't we just read the Donald Trump statement, because this is just kind of outrageous. So last week, as you know, I mean, it started with Dan Bongino and Kash Patel with the hostage looking video, wide-eyed in front of the camera in an interview, saying that there's no there after years of hyperbolic coverage, years of coverage of the crime of the century, the pedophile sex ring that was perpetrated by Jeffrey Epstein, and all of that coverage. They get into the FBI, and right in front of the camera, there's nothing there. Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, and there's nothing to pursue here. So that was number one. Everyone was outraged about that. Then you had Pam Bondi with the statement, not signed, interestingly enough, but a memo from the DOJ last week saying, we've looked into it. There's no there, nothing to see. There's no evidence of a client list, which is, I mean, just flies in the face of so much reporting over the past few years. And basically, we're going to drop it. So MAGA revolted against Pam Bondi. Then they liked Dan Bongino, even though Dan Bongino was the first one to come in, and Kash Patel, and say there was no there, but tried to make it like this big battle between Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino. And Dan Bongino is like, I'm going to step down if Pam Bondi is still there. And it was just a whole nightmare of this whole thing swirling last week, right? No one's bothering to look at the guy who employs all these, these yahoos, right? Like, there is a buck, and it does stop with Donald Trump. So Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi all work at the pleasure of the president of the United States of America, who would be Donald Trump. So you had this whole campaign, a PSYOP campaign last week by Con Inc. and BizarroCon, people like Alex Jones and those who are still firmly in the Trump camp, telling their audiences, this is a betrayal of Donald Trump. This is incompetence and the people that he hired. Like, this is a Bondi problem. This is a Patel problem. This is a Bongino problem. And so that narrative pushed out last week didn't really work. People are still pushing back, still asking questions. And then you saw the interchange between the reporter in the Oval Office, where Donald Trump got visibly irritated. They continued to ask him about what was going on with the Epstein case. And he basically said, why are you still talking about this? Something that he talked about for 4 to 6 years, for 8 years. Okay, something that his people pushed out, that he talked about ad nauseum. Okay, made it a central component of his campaign twice. Something that Alex Jones has reported on, Sean Hannity has reported on. I mean, you name it. But all of a sudden now it's like, nope, sorry, you guys are idiots. There's nothing to see here. Why are you still talking about this? Well, that lit the fire. I think that really ticked off a large percentage of MAGA. And so they're now really, it's like, I don't even know what's going on in their minds right now. I don't know how they're processing this, but he doubled down. So they revolted. And rather than retreating and saying, okay, we got to open the books, we need real transparency, we're walking it back. Rather than doing that, and all of the the conspiracies. There are people out there. Alex Jones is saying to his audience with a straight face, right, that Donald Trump, okay, here's the deal, that Donald Trump knows the Epstein files, according to Alex Jones, were written and controlled and compiled by Democrats. And so the Democrats have now taken those Epstein files and they have put in false names, falsehoods. They've taken things out and added things in. And so now the Epstein files have incriminating evidence on Republicans, maybe Donald Trump, high ranking elected officials. And so he's saying that Donald Trump is actually protecting, like, you can't even trust the Epstein files anymore. They're totally fake. So, I mean, everyone's heads are exploding over this. But Donald Trump, then, LT Oracle of Truth, are you still talking about that guy? Yeah, it's important to talk about the Epstein network. I would direct people to Whitney Webb and her reporting, and I have some really good experts on this. The Epstein network is very important. Catherine Austin Fitts understands this, and she has explained this pretty well as well. First and foremost, it's a money laundering network. It is financial crimes that Jeffrey Epstein was tasked with committing. Those financial crimes are really the underlying kind of reason for the vast, absolutely insane transfer of trillions of dollars worth of wealth from we the people, from the American society and individual Americans, small mom and pops, to this super elite oligarchical kind of billionaire class. And so they've basically been laundering money. Our government is essentially a criminal cartel. And so that involves the Bank of International Settlements. It involves a lot of international banks and a lot of moving of funds. And that was really much of what Epstein was doing. But on the side, there was also the child sex trafficking ring and the accusations that he was working for Mossad or the Central Intelligence Agency. That was actually corroborated by Alexander Acosta when he was explaining why he gave Jeffrey Epstein the sweetheart deal in Florida prior to Trump rewarding Alexander Acosta with a cabinet level position in his first administration. So Alexander Acosta said that he was told that Epstein was owned by intelligence or controlled by intelligence, and he was told to back off. So that's on the record. That is a statement. This is a very important case. So for anyone out there saying, why are you talking about Epstein just like Trump is saying it? It's because it's very important. Epstein was connected to the people who are the people who today are continuing to subjugate and fleece people all over the world. So these networks are important to understand. And this is why we, clearly why we aren't getting the truth from the Trump administration. And I've been saying for almost 10 years that Trump is not free. I think that he is controlled, and I think he does what he's told. So we're seeing all of these. It's essentially WWE wrestling, reality TV. It's playing out. But indeed, there are victims. There are victims and there are witnesses. And in fact, Zero Hedge pushed this out just last week. Virginia Guffrey has died recently, and she was one of the most compelling witnesses in this regarding Epstein and his operation. She committed suicide in April. And this is from her diary. She said, "I used to be watched by Epstein's hidden cameras, which I have seen myself. The FBI have the archive footage showing me being abused by other men, used as blackmail." And that is from her diary. So there are victims. And as long as there are victims and we have not pursued truth, real truth, and actual justice, then we need to continue to pursue this. That is not a psyop. The cover-up is indeed a psyop. Whatever Trump is doing, whatever game he's playing, whatever character he's playing, the fist fight or the fake fight between Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino and all of the peripheral explanations from people like Alex Jones, influencers and platformers who are paid, they are paid to continue with these narratives. Those certainly are, in my opinion, limited hangouts, fake stories, propaganda, and potential psyops. That doesn't mean that crimes weren't committed. That doesn't mean that crimes aren't still being committed. And so I reject wholeheartedly this idea that we should just not talk about Epstein and what he did and the people who aligned with Epstein and the men and potentially women who abused children as part of his network. Giuffre, Virginia Giuffre. Thank you, Mark the Regan. Yes, and Virginia met Epstein at Mar-a-Lago. That's the other big story. I mean, I posted out on Twitter last week that, the simplest explanation for all of this, Trump's doubling, tripling, and quadrupling down on protecting the pedophiles because they're too big to fail. The simplest explanation to me would be, it's very clear that he and Jeffrey Epstein were best friends for well over a decade, some say 15 years. They spent a lot of time together. He was on his planes. Jeffrey Epstein was at Mar-a-Lago. They have stories, dozens of hours of interviews from both Trump and Jeffrey explaining the closeness of their relationship. We have the fact that they engaged in a lot of very questionable activities with young women. And so from my perspective, the simplest and most reasonable explanation for Trump dragging us through this fan dance that has gone now for 10 years, pretending to want to get the child rapists and the pedophiles when all the while he was protecting them, would be likely, potentially, that he is a pedophile himself, that Donald Trump himself has been compromised. There are videos of him engaging in illegal activity with young women, underage women, who knows? I don't know. I don't care. But that to me would be the most compelling reason, because no reasonable human person, right, when they have the power of the presidency to get to the bottom of something like this, would take this stand, especially when there is outrage, not only from the left and the right, but also your most core base. I mean, this is the biggest political rug pull I have ever witnessed. It is a 180, a complete about face. And that is why this is pretty interesting. Yeah, Alex Jones and mainstream media are paid pushing, are paid influencers in Nautical's opinion. And yeah, this is what he had to say. Oh, interesting. Karen Carpenter, 27. I re-listened to Whitney Webb's 3-hour phone call with Maria Farmer, an Epstein victim, last week. Very interesting. Ooh, I want to read that. I had an amazing expert on this topic, one of the OGs of the Epstein network. He is a reporter out of Manhattan, and I had to cancel the interview. I hope I didn't make him mad. I don't have his name here. It's Nick. Oh man, what's his last name? I can't remember it, but I'm going to try to get him back on. I'm looking for really, really good sources. So that Maria Farmer interview with Whitney Webb is something that I definitely want to listen to for sure. And I think this is an important case. I think this is a very, very important case. Thank you, Karen Carpenter. Nick Bryant, that's it. Nick Bryant is on top of this, as well as others. Re-listening to the Maria Farmer call with Whitney was really fascinating. I had forgotten a lot of the details. So if you want to follow Nick Bryant, I had an interview with him secured for the live on Thursday. Had to cancel it. I think he's mad at me. I hope he isn't mad at me, because I reached out to him to reschedule and he's kind of ghosting me a little bit. So I'm going to do everything I can. And if anyone has a connection to Nick Bryant, to let him know that, I'm good. I'm not gonna, I feel really bad. Yeah. Karen Carpenter, I appreciate you. Oh, he was on with Jimmy Dore and Corbett recently. All right, I'll have to listen to that as well. He's great. And even if he won't come on the show, I will use him as a source. We had a good conversation prior to the interview, the day before we were supposed to have our interview. And he really, really impressed me with his knowledge. He's an independent, complete independent. In fact, he exposed child sex trafficking within the Republican Party and also within the Democrat Party. There were two big scandals, the Epstein scandal and the one before the Epstein scandal that I bet Karen Carpenter knows. Yeah, a lot of you guys think that Alex Jones is intelligence, is like a CIA operative. I would not be surprised at all if Jones wasn't compromised or some kind of asset, because it's like he always goes right. Sometimes he gets it right. Very often he gets it right. But when it's really important, Alex Jones gets it completely wrong, as he is today in defending Donald Trump. The Franklin scandal. Karen, I knew you would get that from me. So he exposed the Franklin scandal, which which implicated high up Republican officials, and then the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, which apparently implicated more on the Democrat side. But the reality is that it appears that there's a very nasty underbelly of our political institutions. Yeah, I think I heard that the Bushes were implicated as well. So yeah, Alex Jones admits that his dad was military intel and family friends. Knowing all of these elites, you'd think he was going up against them. Listen, he is not a source for the Shannon Joy Show because he is too unpredictable and too inconsistent. That's one of the things I look for, the most consistent over time purveyors of news, information, analysis, research, whether they're doctors, lawyers, attorneys. I'm looking for that good, robust, long-term consistency. And that is why I really think I would really like to get Nick on the show. Karen Carpenter 27, please shoot me an email, because it sounds like you know a lot regarding what is going on. The Shannon Joy Show at gmail.com, the Shannon Joy Show at gmail.com. If you guys have any insights into really, really good sources. That concludes the show for today here on the Shannon Joy Show. Sorry, it's a little bumpy, a little rough. I think I'm still jet lagged from absolutely zero sleep last week. I didn't even really recuperate, but tomorrow's show will be better, I'm sure. Thank you guys so much for being with us today. Thank you to our sponsors. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show.